Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Weekly Brief. I'm Shweta Kothari. With me is Kartik Malhotra and Rakesh Khar. And to begin with, what exactly happened in the newsroom in the past 1 week? What was the biggest talking point? And it stems from Prime Minister Modi's Independence Day speech, where he talked about reforms, the big GST reforms, Kartik, something that we have been talking about for quite a while now. Be it the inverted duty structure, which makes it extremely difficult for small shopkeepers, owners of MSMEs to really file GST, and also the fact that there are too many slabs. That's been a problem with them.
Right, so
hopefully the reforms will do away with that.
Yeah, so I think the GST rate rationalization has been long pending, and finally it has come. If you remember, every time there's a GST council meet, what comes on agenda is the rationalization of rates, but for some reason, it hasn't really, since 2017, which was the main reform when GST was instituted, we haven't really seen a massive reforms in GST. And that, I think, is something which even the group of ministers has now cleared. And for the next GST council meeting, we are hoping that we will get 100% clarity on which are the items which are moving from the 12% slab to the 5% slab, which are the ones that could potentially move from 12 to 18%, and which are the ones that will move from 28 to 40. But I have a view on one item that could incidentally move from 28 to 18 also. More on that later.
All right. I think, to sum it up, it's going to be only 2 slabs.
That's right.
To begin with, I think that's that's what the group of ministers has decided, Rakesh. And it's going to be easy for people to now be able to file GST. And also, a lot of items are going to get cheaper or expensive.
Absolutely. I think this reform was long overdue. I personally felt that it would be the first on the agenda once the third term of Modi government came into play. But it got delayed by about a year, I guess, because it will pan out in October. And then finally, the festival season will be the time to watch for the actual reforms to happen. I think coming from the Prime Minister, I don't think there's going to be any political difficulty, even if opposition states will create problems in terms of looking at auditing their outcomes from the revenue piece, because there is a state play in GST. At one level, it's one of the biggest success stories in terms of political consensus on a big economic reform, 8 years, as you rightly mentioned. At another level, there is this, back and pushing and, about who gets what in terms of states not getting their due. That try and hue and cry has been happening at each and every meeting. So I guess there will be some nitpicking on that. In terms of the structure of the, it's a new design. That's what we hope it would be. In a new design, if you shed one big 28% tariff level and bring it down, what exactly goes into 40% is a big question mark. To my mind, my worry is that this government is slowly getting pushed towards a socialistic framework.
Right.
It might not genuinely push certain items which are important from a day-to-day consumption point and see them as sin and transfer them to 40%. While as elements like cars and even which were taking a beating because they were heavily taxed at about 50%, would come down in the lower slab. It will spur consumption. But for now, what I have been hearing from the ground because of early monsoon and that waiting for this to happen, major political reforms announced have their collateral damage as well. The damage in this could be that everybody is waiting for making that buy till the decision is announced.
So they're going to wait for a while, which essentially brings us down to what gets cheaper, what gets expensive. A lot of industry bodies are worried at the moment, especially the auto industry body, that people are going to wait until the reforms kick in for them to finally make that car purchase.
So, in any case, monsoon is not the season for people to go and buy cars, right? So that, in any case, is a cyclical industry where you wait for the monsoon season to end and you wait for the festive season to kick in. And that is when your Navratri comes in. Absolutely. And the auspicious time for buying comes in, your Diwali discounts come in.
We've seen that even in the Shraddh period, which was a no-go area, now there are massive discounts, so people
Exactly.
on that.
Exactly.
So Shraddh is celebration.
So I think this time around, the festive season is going to come with a double discount. One is going to be the generic festive discount that kicks in, and then the 28% hopefully coming down to 18% if cars do come down from 28 to 18, then it's going to add as a massive fillip to car purchases or high value purchases of all kinds. Now, in terms of items which will move from the 12% to the 5% slab, and these are, let's say, your packaged cosmetics, how much is the price elasticity for these items is yet to be seen. While there are reports which are suggesting, even SBI Research, for example, has come out with a research which says that as much as 2 lakh crore rupees is likely to be added to India's consumption basket. Now remember, India's GDP is largely supported by government spending, while consumption is still a large chunk, about 30% or so. The bulk of the heavy lifting is done by the government.
And that needs to be reversed.
That needs to be
We've been
reversed.
waiting for long.
But the question really is that that with the 12% tax being slashed to 5% on cosmetics, on some non-essentials per se, but everyday use items, are you going to buy more toothpaste or more soaps or more shampoo if the price comes down by way of this tax benefit from 12% to 5%? My limited understanding of economics says that perhaps not.
Okay.
Price
But
elasticity on demand comes more for expensive items, discretionary items, and if they become cheaper, there's a better fillip for people to go ahead and buy.
Outside
Okay.
of cosmetics, Karthi, if I believe the food category, which is a very large piece,
Right.
if that comes under a reduced
So
rate, that will spur.
unpackaged food, unpackaged milk, unpackaged fruit, in any case, is still left outside of the ambit
Purview
of
of
GST.
That's right.
Are people going to eat more because the price comes down? My limited understanding of economics tells me no, they will eat as much. There could be some savings that accrue to them. Is that going to add to consumption in a big manner? I believe not. Is that going to hurt the government by way of tax collection? I believe yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Is that something you're worried about?
No,
The tax
I
collection
think,
numbers
there-
will go
there-
down because GST has been a success story
That's right.
month after month when it comes to numbers.
Yeah. So I think they've factored in for that, and that it is, so to say, viable, if I can use that phrase, from the political economy perspective. And because it's a political statement that the Prime Minister has made, that he's bringing this reform, which was long overdue, as we discussed. How it pans out, he will watch it, and the government should watch, along with the state governments, and ensure that there is the larger purpose of consumption getting a leg up, met without states or center crying that we lost X amount of money.
But I have one surprise this time in store. I believe there could be a surprise, and that surprise could be by way of one item not moving, being a sin item, sin category item, not moving from 28% to 40%, but likely being slashed from 28% to 18%.
And that would be?
What would
I want to stick my neck out and say it could be online gaming. Now, we know for a fact that real money-based gaming has been banned. Unlikely that's going to come back. Some companies are contesting the government's decision in the Karnataka High Court. But the government has also categorically stated that it wants to promote social gaming, educational
that's
gaming,
right.
esports.
It is for the genre minus the money.
This sector has been penalized enough and more. A lot of companies are thrown completely out of gear. A lot of companies are now losing as much as, if we believe, Dream 11 is losing as much
Quite a
as
few borderline
95%
cases
of
in
its
terms of
revenue.
corporates are worried that what will shift to 40%.
Right.
So tobacco will definitely move. Some luxury
sin
cars
goods.
will definitely go.
SUVs, sin
So I
goods,
believe
tobacco.
the tag of sin will be removed from online games, which are not real money game, because real money games have been banned. The other ones will need some support from the government. At the end of the day, they are attracting
think we would
FDI.
vote for
They
that.
are attracting employment,
That's right.
and these
Yeah.
would potentially be a sector that the government will now want to appease
That's
and say that let's not kill this sector in one fell
Minus-
swoop. We
minus-
want
It's
to
been
get them.
harmed
Yeah.
already
So-
as is.
So a big decision awaiting in the festival.
big,
Yeah, I will
big-
stick my neck out and bet on the fact that non-real money gaming, esports are going to move from
It's a
28%
sensible
to
thing to
18%.
do. It's a sensible thing to do. I hope government sees logic in what Karthik is saying.
I think moving beyond online gaming, and to sum it up, I think essentials, all kind of essentials, which were in the 18% tax slab, will now be moved to 5%.
Essentials in any case have been in 5 or in no tax. These are merit goods as the government calls it. So I
Right.
think those merit goods will move from 12 to 5.
And even
12% goes away.
discretionary items will be moved from 12 to 5.
Yeah, I think,
and
if it's very, very cosmetic, then the Prime Minister would not have made the announcement.
Yeah.
He has done his homework.
Okay.
So in that sense, there is bound to be some relief for the so-called middle class or lower middle class,
Right.
particularly. The upper middle class doesn't care. So in that sense, we're all waiting for the consumption to really perk up.
all right, the consumption likely to perk up or not, we'll have to wait and watch. But that big GST reform perhaps coming anytime after Diwali, that's the expectation. And one will be waiting and watching out for as to what
In fact,
gets
some reports
cheaper,
are suggesting
what
it
gets
could come
expensive.
even ahead of Diwali. In
All
fact,
right.
before 1st October, there are reports which are suggesting as early as perhaps 22nd September
So the
is
meeting
when
is
we
a
could
surprise.
see the
meeting
new
is on 2nd or
GST.
3rd September.
The first meeting, and then there's one more GST Council meeting, I
That
think,
That
in
is
the
if
third
a
week. So
consensus
I
is
would imagine
reached.
there would be many more.
there would be many more,
Right.
perhaps, but definitely before Diwali.
All right,
is the
hopefully a
message.
consensus will be reached
Yeah.
before Diwali, and you'll finally have some of those cheaper discretionary as well as non-discretionary products to buy during and after Diwali.